We are live.
Hello.
We are live now. Yeah, welcome, Melanie. Melanie is a friend of mine, and we already did some live streams in the past. So this one is dedicated to you, and also after your introduction and everything, other people can join, and we can continue the conversation. So yeah, let's start with you. Tell us
Okay.
who you are, because many people maybe they don't know you yet.
Yeah, thank you, Hans, first of all, for having this idea to do personal live streams, to invite people personally to tell their stories. I appreciate it. I think it's a good initiative. My story, in fact, I live in Brussels. I'm of German origin. I'm 42 years old, and it's about 20 years that I live in Brussels. And yes, what brought me to this group and to our live stream that we started together, Hans, and I think that it's really a very positive project, is that I suffer from Morgellons. Morgellons, for people that do not know what it is in fact a invasion of human tissue by nanotechnology. Once you have it in your body, it's a technology that self-assembles and auto-replicates, and that in fact creates in your body a complex system of wiring. So it's an absolute gross abomination of human rights, of course. I think it's one of the worst things you can be a victim of. And but I do not only want to be a victim, as you know. I want to find solutions for people that are victims by new technology, a technology such as myself. And what I appreciate, Hans, is that we started this group, the live streams, I think last year in December or January, with many victims, and it has been worked quite well. I think it has raised public attention, and I would like to thank you now for this initiative to interview people individually.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I'm here tonight, and yeah, and so it's also enjoyable to be able to talk together again. It's been a
Exactly.
while.
Excellent, excellent. Uh, okay, so you were telling us about Morgellons and something about this. I mean, it's many. I think many people they don't know even what is Morgellons. So I invite you all research, check out in YouTube, in Google. You will find a lot of links where you can um, find out what it is. Okay, Melanie. What or how do you think you got the Morgellons? Because many people they will say, okay, when it's a disease, but how can you get infected by this, or how you can get it?
Hmm. Well, there are several ways, basically, how you can, be implanted with this technology. If you want to. One way is subdermal experimentation, which means by an injection, basically,
Mm-hmm.
whatever by any injection, or also vaccines have been proven to be very dangerous to contain these nanochips, basically that once they're injected into your body, start this self. Assembling and auto-replicating process, as I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be one way. The other way is that people seem to have become victims of this technology whilst they have underwent surgery, where they then were unresponsive, by with a general anesthetic or whatever, and were victimized by this technology. The last or the third way how you can get infected by Morgellons is there seems to be a link to the chemtrails. I would like to refer people to the research that the industrial toxicologist Dr. Hildegard Stenninger did. She did extensive research on Morgellons.
Mm-hmm.
And why I mentioned the link with the chemtrails is that she examined samples that she took from her patient's skin, because one of the particulars of Morgellons is that your body rejects foreign materials, strange material, fibers, seeds, granules, hexagons, very, very strange material that is obviously inorganic.
Mm-hmm.
And so she examined this material that she took from her patient's skin and compared it to a chemtrail sample that was sent to her, and found out that the material matched. It was basically the same material. So chemtrails have shown to be one big vector also for Morgellons.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is basically it. Regarding yes, the injections that are one way of getting Morgellons. This seems to be, as I said, either illegal biomedical research, or it seems to be actually more weaponry research, because this technology is used for war. So than medical research, in fact. But this is so way how you can get infected with Morgellons. So.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think you get infected of this? They target you since the beginning, or it's just a coincidence? What do you guess? Let's say.
Yes, of course. You always ask yourself, why me? How come?
Exactly.
Why I was chosen, or why I've been the unlucky one. I I had several thoughts about it. None of this, what I'm going to say now, it's all hypothesis, it's theory. I cannot prove it, and probably will never be able to say for sure what actually happened. The first, when this dawned on me that this was Morgellons, well, actually, I had to research this myself, because the doctors were of no help. Basically, they told me I was delusional. Was at first I thought, okay, well, maybe I was just at the wrong time, at the wrong place, like the chemtrails. Maybe I inhaled this, and that's how it got into my bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to work for satellite navigation program of the European Space Agency, so as the spokeswoman, basically. So I traveled a lot. I came around a lot in the world to do events, key events, and satellite navigation calendar, where I either spoke or organized a conference. So I thought, well, it might be linked to that, because I worked in a very high-tech field, basically. But then this crossed my mind. But then I did some more thinking, and actually I remembered that at that time I was quite disillusioned with my partner. And at that point, because yes, I'm actually now in the custody battle, so but at that point, he came back into my life. He had come back into my life, making a lot of promises, saying he had been more mature now, wanted to get married, children, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, I realized that he would not deliver any of his promises. So he was still that immature like he was before, and was basically just empty promises to get me back. So at that point, one of my friends, who was a single woman, who really desperately wanted children, told me that there is a program at the State University Hospital here in Brussels,
Mm-hmm.
where you can basically have children on your own as a single woman, basically get inseminated. So the procedure was that you would register there, say you would be interested in basically benefiting from their single moms program,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to register a call at certain times to confirm your interest. So I don't know, a little bit. I was very disillusioned with him at that time. I was angry, very angry. I was very disappointed. So I did register there, you know, and I think I would not have gone through with it anyway. But I called I mean, twice or three times, maybe maximum, to confirm my interest, and then I wouldn't have gone through with it. And at that time, I also had to undergo a surgery, something where I was told it was routine surgery, but I had to stay about 3 days in the hospital, and it was a general anesthetic. So I think that at that point, when I registered in the single moms program, it would have been very easy for them to check my data. I must have looked very promising as a potential candidate to perform research on, which is obviously totally illegal. But I was single, at least on the paper. I looked single, and it was very easy to check that I'm not from here. I'm not from Brussels. I don't have any family here. So I must have looked like a very interesting candidate for research purposes. And so I underwent the surgery, and the first symptoms of Morgellons started very close after that, maybe 2, 3 months after this. And then once the first symptoms appeared, I did actually get pregnant by my partner at the time. So I called this hospital and told them I wasn't interested anymore in their program. But what I believe now, and actually this suspicion I have is more and more strengthened in my mind, is that I was probably implanted with this technology when I underwent this surgery.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh yeah, it's a unbelievable story. But I mean, I know you and I trust you, and I mean, with the time we also found other victims. I mean, I will call you now a victim because they did it without that you accepted, you know. So
Without my
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
I
I
mean, I
know
don't know
it's true.
anybody who would actually give their consent to this kind of experimentation on human life, and to be
Exactly.
tortured and your life destroyed and your health destroyed
Yeah, yeah,
because of this. But you're right, it was certainly
yeah,
done without my consent
yeah,
and
yeah.
without my knowledge. So
Exactly.
yeah.
You were talking about tortured. Do you feel anything? I
Oh
mean,
yes.
does it hurt, or how do you feel? How did you? Um, how can I say? How did you notice that something is wrong in your body?
Well, first of all, you're very tired, extremely tired. So I've always been a very energetic person. I had no energy before. I was like, when my son was born and I had to take him to daycare, it took me like an hour to get up of bed to get him dressed. I mean, absolutely not normal. And then, as I said, you have this material coming out of your skin all over more and more, and you feel actually things moving under your skin. You feel a mechanical movement
Like you're warm
where
inside, something like
things
this.
under the skin, yeah, but like a very rhythmic movement, like dang, dang, dang. So you can actually feel when there's something installed there. Uh, so I was first told that it must have been something parasitical because even the doctors couldn't deny the material that came out of my skin, which it is not. So I went to the Tropical Institute in Antwerp here. I had checked, there's no parasites. So, and the material is inorganic, it's synthetic, it's artificial. So it's not from any animal. So uh, you feel this movement, you have this strange material coming out of your skin that nobody can really explain, no doctor will help you. Either they tell that you, yeah, quite blunt, that they can tell you that what it is, or they tell you that you're delusional. So, yeah, if you're standing in your office with this material coming out of your skin, you're delusional. So, yeah, it is unbelievable.
It's
So you
unbelievable.
have,
Yes, of course.
yeah,
I mean, this is a violation against our human rights.
yeah,
They're
it's an
experimenting with
insult,
you.
in fact, to the patients. You get no problem. You get more and more tired, and then you really feel that wires are building up under your skin, and you feel electricity, a current, electricity, a
Like
current
shocks,
going
something like this.
electrical current,
Uh-huh.
going through your skin. Then you have electroshocks. You have pain all over 24 hours round the clock. You have sleep deprivation. You have terrible pressure headaches. And even this is basically from the microchips that are gonna be installed into your eyes. You have changes of vision. That means you get pixelated. You see more like a computer basically. Actually, it's an extremely dehumanizing technology. It actually is transhumanism. It is turning people into a computer. That's the goal, the aim of this technology. It's extremely invasive and obviously one of the worst human rights violation that you can imagine.
Of course.
So this is what this Morgellons is all about. You're basically living with a nightmare and constant pain, and also you have seizures, and you have problems concentrating, problems remembering. With all of the patient, there is some neurological decline that happens. So uh, I heard that there was a neurologist, Dr. Edward Spencer, whom I recently heard about an interview in an outspoken advocate for Morgellons patient, who basically considered it to be a bio-nano terror weapon, this technology. That's how he defines it.
Why you? Uh, I listen now. Weapon. Why? Uh, what happened with this? I mean, is it a war or what? What they want to do or who wants to do it? I don't know. Do you have any idea about all this system about why they are doing this and
Yes,
who is it?
I think it's to test weaponry, extremely sophisticated weaponry on the citizens, on unwitting children, women, and men, using basically people as guinea pigs. I believe they want to see several things. They want to see which illnesses you will develop being weaponized by this technology. Who is more prone to actually suicide, commit suicide, or who will resist. How long it actually takes for the person to maybe lose his or her job, all her friends, all the family. There's a huge problem of abandonment of by family and friends, because they usually don't understand what's going on. Uh, and it is basically a bioweapon, and they want to test its efficiency on innocent citizens, and this is what it is. You should also know that once you have it in your body, it reacts to direct energy weapons, to microwave weapons. So I'm also, as you know, Hans, because I've often complained to you about this, heavily bombarded by these weapons. So it is certainly radiation experiments on citizens, which are totally criminal and are absolutely illegal, of course. So
Yes, of course, it's illegal.
it's weaponry research,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it's also part, I believe, of the general depopulation agenda um, that
I heard a
is
lot about
in
it.
place, put in place by a few criminals that the so-called elite that wants to achieve global world domination, global governance of this planet. The 1% that crazy people, this group of criminals that are governing us, or so it is all part of this, and it is absolutely terrifying, and we need to stand up against this, raise public awareness, and vote public outcry to bring this to an end.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
defend our rights.
In fact, that's why I'm helping with the live streams that the people know about it because I mean, uh, I don't think you're the only person on this world who has this. You know, there are many victims more. I mean, I know
Thousands.
already more a lot like Mari Palak, Luca, and I don't know who else,
Yeah,
Magnus.
Marie
I
as
mean,
well.
yeah, a lot of people who suffer the same. So I mean, it's not a coincidence. You really have something in your body and it's time that
Hmm.
to cover it up to know what it is and how to stop this because this is a violation and it's against all human rights because they are going into your body and torture you. I mean, this is not right, you know.
Yes,
Okay, did you
yes.
go to any doctor?
Yes, I went to many doctors. Most of them, unfortunately, were not much help. Most of them told me I was either delusional or yeah, it was certainly nothing serious. But what I did, because after I think at least I probably saw all the dermatologists in Belgium, not much use. And so I took this into my own hands and I went to the Leuven University Clinic here and I saw an environmental toxicologist and the chairman of public health here in Belgium in the clinic. So, and I asked him if he could please analyze this material that came out of my skin under the microscope for me and tell me what it is. You know the story, Hans? It took me 8 months to just get the lab reports.
8 months.
uh, 8 months, with weekly calls and emails and reminders and messages with the secretary. And I mean, unbelievable. He always had an excuse, and I actually at the end had to really file a complaint and threaten him with a complaint at the doctor's order to receive these laboratory reports. I finally got them and they stated that this material had been analyzed under the microscope and could not be identified. They had never seen anything like that. They couldn't explain to me what it was. The only thing they did say is that it is certainly it's synthetic material. It's inorganic. It's not something that's normally part of your body.
Okay, so they found at least something, right?
Yes, they analyzed it, but they said it is unidentified material. So, as I do not believe that they have nanotechnology every day under the microscope, I'm not too surprised that I couldn't identify it. But they had to conclude that the case remains unsolved because this material could not be identified under the microscope.
Okay. Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible. And okay, so the normal doctors, let's say the normal doctors, they couldn't even help. And
No, they told me quite blunt that either I was delusional or it was something parasitical. But then the Tropical Institute in Antwerp told me, well, it's nothing parasitical, so it's not that. And then they were basically that was it, Then they didn't want to deal anymore with this kind of problem, and that they basically couldn't help.
exactly. Okay, I know your story perfectly well, but many people maybe they don't. So continue to tell us what did you do next because I know you went to London to make an exam. Could you tell us about this?
Yes. So obviously, if you're a Morgellons patient, as you know, there's not much help you can expect from doctors. So in this process of doing my own research, finding out what it is, I basically then found an organization, an international human rights organization that is called International Center Against Abuse of Covered Technologies, ISAACT website, isaac.org, and they basically organize radio frequency scannings to detect if this technology is implanted in your body, if it's present in your body. because it's not normal for the human body to emit a radio frequency.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I got to know more and more really nice people suffering from the same, as you know, Marie and many other people,
Mm-hmm.
and having the same problem. And I actually, at that point, I realized how extensive the problem is, how many people have been victimized with this technology, looking for answers, not getting no help, and actually basically being tortured by this technology. So ISAC, as I said, is organizing radio frequency scannings of which the purpose is to give people evidence to see if we can measure radio frequency emissions.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that there was one organized in London, indeed. So I went there end of April, and it was really amazing to meet all these other people that were basically targeted with these technologies as well. And I participated in this radio frequency scanning and came up positive, which means it could be measured that and I think you saw the video, I believe, Hans, that I emit a radio frequency, which is obviously not normal.
Yep.
So I must say that we had about 40 people at the scanning, and more than 50% came up positive, which is quite a high rate.
Yes, it's
Uh,
something, you know. I mean,
it's
it's
yeah, it's
proven in this way.
quite scary.
Yeah.
So that means that there's obviously a much higher part of the population that is already shipped, so to say, that is victimized by this technology uh, than one assumed. So this is where we are now. What we did in London is actually a preliminary scan. So we scan people for radio frequencies, but these tests have to be redone in a Faraday cage. Why do they have to be redone in a Faraday cage? Because the Faraday
Mm-hmm.
cage is basically a shared environment, yes. So it is to prove that the emissions really come from the body of the
Exactly,
person,
from
and that
yourself.
could, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, exactly. That people cannot tell us, oh, you just measured a frequency in the air, or so. It's basically to give credit to
Uh-huh.
these first measurements taken in London and in other cities. So this is where we are now, and so hopefully the Faraday cage test can happen soon. So
Oh, no, this is a
that
huge
will be a big
story.
step
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes,
it seems they targeting many people to control them maybe later, like living robots, you know, because um, they can do whatever they want to do, you know. I mean,
exactly.
they even can torture
Yeah,
you.
it's
They for sure they can read your mind, or they see what you see.
absolutely
But
induced dreams,
exactly,
induced images, and
exactly.
it's basically to control the human being, the human mind,
Uh-huh.
and so there's not much more you can do to much not much
Oh.
worse you can do to a human being.
Uh-huh.
You might know, Hans, that there was from the 50s to the 70s there was this totally illegal mind control program that got taken to
Yes,
court.
I read
Was
about
called
it.
MK Ultra,
Uh-huh.
uh, where basically these technologies were already used. People were
Yeah, they made a lot of
the brain
experiments.
research was done. Yeah, was tortured with electroshocks and I mean LSD experiments and all without
Mm-hmm.
informed consent. And it was absolutely horrendous, horrific what happened in this program, and it was a huge program. It was signed into law by the CIA director, I believe it was Alan Dulles, and it was totally, although it was totally illegal research, so it was still performed, and it was an absolutely horrific program.
Yes.
And but finally it got um, taken to court, and there were then also compensations that which were paid, but most of the time to family members of these poor victims, because some of them had not survived, or and many actually, and so but then we were told, the unwitting public, that this program had been closed, that it had come to an end. It is now very obvious that it has not been closed. I myself have cameras in my eyes, so they can see through my eyes in real time what I am seeing.
They can see what you see?
Well, I know that there are implants in my eyes, on my retina, and they usually have small cameras, so they can see what I see through my eyes.
You're a robot.
So,
You're a robot.
yeah.
Imagine.
Yes, yeah. So it's absolutely horrifying, but that's what's going on,
Yeah. No, this is
So
very.
it's called biofeedback, visual biofeedback. That means that there's actually a camera installed in your eyes.
Exactly. I mean, all the Morgellons and all the stuff what you have in your body, I'm sure they are moving, and they can go to any part of your body when they want to. For example, to give you a heart attack, they go to your heart and give you some shocks there. It's
exactly. So and people have died from heart attacks that they have used this technology, in fact, to kill the person. And there are very few doctors that can actually determine if this was a natural heart attack or one that was induced by this kind of technology. So it's it's a torture program, but it's also can even be used to kill the person. So it's torture, murder. It is absolutely against the Geneva Conventions. It is against the Nuremberg Code, which requires informed consent. Whatever treatment you're undergoing, that you're informed about it, and also the risks. So it violates more than one basic human right here. Much more than just one regulation, and international conventions, treaties that basically dare to ensure basic fundamental human rights, and they're not respected anymore. And people are just used as guinea pigs for this kind of weaponry research.
Exactly. Some minutes ago you mentioned chemtrails. What I'm thinking, it's just a private thinking of this, is maybe they can use the chemtrails because they are spraying something in the air. Maybe they are all these Morgellons, and we just breathe it in, and they can activate all the technology in our bodies when they want. It's just a thinking of me. I don't know. Maybe it's true. Maybe not. I mean.
You mean the activation process? How it happens?
I mean,
that's what you mean. How to activate it?
For example, when people are infected, like you, like Mary Palak, and many other peoples, I mean, that has to come from a certain way. I mean, you eat it, you drink it. It's like a vaccine, you get something into your body. So this stuff has to go into your body, and there are only two ways, to eat it or drink it, what is going in directly, or to breathe it.
Injections.
Exactly. Injections also.
With a syringe.
It's another way to bring something into your body. Maybe the new vaccines. I hope it's not this with the swine flu. When they made the law that everybody has to get injections. Maybe now they put all the chips inside you. Oh my God!
Yeah,
I don't want to think about this. I mean, I didn't take any.
They're very dangerous. These swine flu injections.
Exactly. Yeah, people have died. People have died. Who didn't.
People have died. People had narcoleptics. Syndromes. And people have been chipped.
Yeah.
So illegally. No. So it is very dangerous.
Okay. No, it's really we have to talk about this because it's affecting maybe even the listeners who are watching and listening now what we are talking about. Maybe they not even know that they are infected. Maybe they are, maybe not. But we have really to go to look for the problem and shut this down because it's not right. It's not right.
We have to at least, yeah, raise awareness for this and also let them know the dangers of such
No, we
you
have to
know,
stop
flu
this.
flu
This is not.
shots. So
This is
yes,
against the human rights. This is
absolutely.
not fair.
Yeah, yeah.
So how are you doing, my friend?
It's fine. I'm actually looking for a cage called a Faraday cage.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting because basically inside this Faraday cage you block everything, every kind of magnetic
Frequency.
frequency. It block. So, for example, I'm reading now, so I don't know much about that, but I think even the mobile phone, you can't use a mobile phone inside this Faraday cage. So if you make this Faraday cage around your bed, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you protect yourself. You basically scare me yourself from microwave and from any kind of attack
Mm-hmm.
come from any kind of attack come from like a microwave or magnetic or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's quite interesting. And I was actually thinking how to build in one, and I was talking with David from London, and how to make one of these one from any person that is
Suffering.
subject to attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If the problem
Mm-hmm.
is expensive.
Yeah, I think so
Um,
because I mean this is you cannot buy a Faraday cage on the corner on Walmart or whatever. You know, you need to get the material at least or some engineers who can construct it the right way.
No,
exactly.
certainly not. But I can tell you, I have been in a Faraday cage to test it, and I was still tortured.
So it doesn't work.
So, I mean, it doesn't shut the technology, the torture technology off. So you can still, feel the torture in several places in your body. So, yeah, the Faraday cage didn't help with that.
Okay.
But
So
that it makes me hopeful that maybe that we can also measure the radio frequencies still coming from the body in the Faraday cage, which is the idea. And as I said before, there was Dr. Edward Spencer who actually put a few of his Morgellons patients in the Faraday cage, and they had readings. They could measure that the people were emitting a radio frequency in
s-
the Faraday cage. So this is actually helpful. How do you say
helpless.
hopeful? It makes me
Ah,
hopeful, but it doesn't stop the torture.
exactly. So people don't spend all your money in a Faraday cage right now because it
No,
doesn't work. Yeah.
yeah, especially victims of domestic terrorism, electronic terrorism, such as we are. They are already extremely poor. and
Yeah.
and what I see with all these victims is the first thing that gets destroyed is the economic basis. Of people. They all lose their job. They often they cannot pay their houses anymore. They lose their house. They even their home. See you. It's nice
Hello.
to see you again. Sorry, it's
Long,
a
long
long
time
time
ago.
ago. Yeah, it's nice to see that you're alive and well. Sylvie, could you quickly introduce yourself for our viewers here, who you are, and how come that you sometimes join our calls?
I'm a friend of Melanie, and I know about this illness. So sometimes she called me and she asked me to be part of your meeting.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Hi, Sylvie.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Sylvie.
Hi.
Yeah, Luca, you don't know Sylvie yet. As you said, she's a friend of mine. It's not a target. She doesn't have Morgellons, but she wants to support our group, and she sometimes comes to the discussions. And Luca, he is Italian. He lives in the United Kingdom, and he has the same problems than Marie and I. He doesn't have Morgellons, but he has is a victim of a technology as well. So, and he has recently joined the group.
Okay,
So,
supporters are
Marie,
also very
sorry to
welcome.
interrupt you. Marie was just explaining that she's using this detoxifying product to help her with Morgellons.
Oh, that's
Marie, can you go
okay.
on?
Yes, I mute my mic. The Dr. Will Spencer's products, I must talking very well about them because what I begin to tell it it is the first time in all I don't know since I get target, but maybe it's 6, 7, 8 years. So it's the first time also it's not only the body, but I felt more clear in my head, especially when this what we call fiber, or it's not fiber, it's more a wire who comes out, and it's on exactly the places what I explained since beginning, who's going around with the lymph and um, exactly the way, and I can also feel uh, when this comes out, it not comes out and fall off. I draw them out and I can see they are very sharp and much harder and don't it look like a normal hair, but behave in a not normal way. But in that place, it begins to be more oily. So I think when we are target from what we are, injection or food or anyway, after a while, that's because we are oily, because it closes the pores, I think it's name in English, and that's because our skin cannot breathe, and then we felt more electric, like these um, waves and shaky, like somebody really shoot you with electric weapon. So that's interesting. What perhaps we can do and advise to another people. Uh, and I have tried a lot, really. I also tried this infrared light, and that was okay. But there is nothing in all this year what I have tried who helped me to get rid of this layer over layer, what I call spider web, and cover with this uh, Darwin's wool and everything like that.
Well, you're here now, so can you quickly introduce yourself for example, Sylvie, she doesn't know you, so
Um, but I'm a U.S. Citizen who's residing here in Belgium, and I've been a target of well, basically harassment, of stalking and electronic harassment collectively for 22 years now. The explicit electronic harassment started about 8 years ago, and it's included all sorts of symptoms. Yes, very bad headaches, digestive problems, all sorts of things that were clearly not organically caused and were often synchronized with stalking and that type of thing. Currently, I've got extreme sleep deprivation and actual nerve pain that's been so intense, especially in my feet, and even spreading up through the rest of my legs, that it's resulted in permanent damage and destruction of a lot of my sensory nerves. And in fact, I have hardly any feeling in my toes left at this point. That's been confirmed actually by neurologists. And incidentally, I've had extensive testing for any sort of causation of that nerve problem. There's nothing that the doctors can find that's caused at all. I mean, they can't, they have no, there's no conventional medical explanation for that. And in fact, there's no history of any sort of such problems in my family. I come from a very healthy family. So whether in terms of sleep or health in other respects, actually just stalking for the first 10 years. That might sound not so bad, but it actually seemed to be inflicted by three people who are actually, I mean, bizarrely following me from place to place. I would move many miles, many kilometers away, and they'd pop up, living, say, in that same apartment complex or whatever. And the same types of, say, vandalism and very skillful thefts and that type of thing. I say skillful in the sense of they would leave no evidence of their having broken into my house or apartment, wherever I was living. And increasingly sophisticated things were done. But yes, the whole thing was started in such a strange way that I really wasn't aware of what this really was about. I wasn't aware that there were any other targets. I wasn't, of course, aware of the term targeted individual at all, anything like this, until it started to become so incredibly sophisticated and continued even after I moved transcontinentally. I worked for about 4 years in Germany, believe it or not. I mean, I really was trying to get away from this harassment that I sought out a job in Germany after 10 years of the harassment. And when this harassment continued there, then I thought to myself, there must be other targets, but I could not find out about that until 14 years into my harassment.
About I don't know, the 10 years ago, I was um, I realized I was followed every every day, uh, more than 10 years ago, uh, and I I start to change house after houses, and I thought maybe if I change house, they they can follow me, and um, of course it's actually get worse because every time I was changing house, I have to learn and know the people around me, and that's mean uh, to get hurt before to understand that the people around me they were actually perpetrators. Because of that, I've been hurt a lot. I changed about I don't know, 12 houses, maybe more. Um, and every time it's always the same thing. It does mean poison on the food a lot. Basically, it's shocking, but it's about 10 years that I'm going around with food on my back, and uh, and that is my food. I mean, I go to the supermarket, I'm going to buy some food, come back home, I'm eating the food, and if I leave food in the kitchen, I will throw away. I will not eat anymore. I can't. Even I can't even leave food on the house because it get poisoned. Uh, and then I realized that I start in one of the house. Suddenly, I start to have this terrible noise in my hair. Um, and I start to hear the room vibrated, and of course I thought that I've been maybe poisoned, So I went to doctor and exam, maybe so it's a tinnitus, I don't know. But since 10 years ago, I have this terrible noise in my hair. And of course, the theater in the street, it was every time. Basically, I realized that every time I go in one place 3 times, the third times in that place, they start to do theater harassment, basically. So every time I go out, I need to change street all the time to try to at least make them difficult or use more people to try to make this uh, theater street stalking. And um, I on the last 6 months been, but this is because I change houses, so the technique change depends of who were the perpetrator. Uh, one of the houses, for example, I was had an electric shock every time the door was closed. The technique was to slam the door as strong as possible. The sound were amplified, and together it was electric shock. I don't know. At the time, I thought it was the sounds that make me the electric shock. Now I think they will probably use something else. On the last 6 months has been very hard. Has been basically as one I couldn't hear. There was amplified the sound of walking, and they were beating from 5 o'clock in the morning to midnight. And on the room where I live, when I went to the kitchen, when I went to the living room, so it was constantly a massive overstress and painful, even on my hair, on my head. Woke up. Okay, what happened in the night is just awful because it can happen that for a couple of weeks I wake up every time at 3 or 4 o'clock because there was beating. They have shown me by making me hear that they are able to hear my hair beating. So I don't know if I have something inside my body that they really are able to hear my heart. They recorded that and I hear to and that's it was my heart. And I'm feeling that I don't know. At the beginning, I thought there was a microphone everywhere. They probably use something else. I'm learning more and more, and I think that what I was thinking 6 months ago is totally obsolete. And I'm being totally isolated. I don't have any friends in the last 15 years. I'm not allowed to have friends. The people follow me. Literally, they just stand in the back of me. Uh, Even with the car, they are no less than 5 minutes behind me. If I go in a pub after 5 minutes, someone will come and start to cough, and until I have to go away. Or eventually, they sit in the back of me and they start to try to isolate any person that I'm trying to talk with. Um, this is no. This isolate is very awful because you don't have anybody to talk with. This poison on the food is awful because sometimes you can just be completely out of the head because you don't know what they put on there. Sometimes I woke up in the morning, I'm totally dizzy. I don't know what happened the night. I don't know. So I have to lock the door. I put a lock on the door. This open constantly stress because I have to defend these people. They can be very violent. I've been beat up on the street. I was working. I was coming from my university in the evening, and I found that I try to change street every time when I was in when I was in university, and I was try to change the street every time from university to my house. And at that night I was tired. I was thinking about the assignment I have to do, and I found myself surrounded from a gang of kids, and they start to beating me. I'm sure these people they were waiting there, so they're really violent. I've been lucky to escape and lucky that no car was crossing the street at the moment because I was literally run as fast as I couldn't, and I was lucky to not being hit from another car. Um, being followed. For me, it's normal to have someone that follow me. It's literally normal. It's always, even this morning when I went to supermarket, there is someone behind me. They do some silly thing or they start to cough when they see me. This is stalking on the street is awful, and it's painful because you lost all the friends. Any person you try to make friends with, you just it's impossible to have. Uh, don't
Yeah,
know.
have
it
friends. You have
definitely it
friends.
isolates you and discredits you. And I mean, for example, tonight there is the Sylvie. Well, I mean, before I had really a lot of friends, and she's like the only one that is from my former life, so to say, that is joining the calls, you know, and that takes a genuine interest, I think, in this problem, you know, and it's really it totally isolates and discredits the victim, and that's really terrible because one of the worst things is that I think that we're all facing is this abandonment by family and friends. You know, you really find yourself totally alone, and I think most of the victims have that.
Yes, it's been very actually a few weeks ago. I decided that uh, when actually what happened about 6 months ago, I met a woman outside my house. She said that she was working for the police, so I thought that's nice. I can talk to her and ask her how can I explain that to the police. Uh, what she did actually is she called the police, and one night at 1 o'clock in the night, Friday evening, the police called me and they said, oh, the police is outside your house. They are worried that you get hurt yourself. So uh, I, I, I went outside. I was actually sleeping, and I tried to say, okay, in this house they bully me, they poison on my food, they beat in the wall, I'm feeling shaking in my room. I don't know what they do in my room. I'm shaking, I can't do nothing in my room. And of course I realized that police were laughing at me. uh, I said they will follow me everywhere. Say, "Ma, who they are? I mean, give me the name. I mean, this is probably all the people in the house. They are probably brother, twins, they are neighbor." And they thought, and then I said, when I went to Italy, they were waiting on the train when I went to Italy. And so when I said that, they said, who is following you in Italy? Who is paying all these people? And they start to laugh. And so I realized that really alone is impossible to to explain it to someone that doesn't want to understand you. If maybe even worse, if they know what's going on, it's even worse because they actually maybe they try to send you in the hospital or something like that. So I realized how dangerous it is even go to the police alone. You have to go with someone else eventually because they can eventually help you in case something happen. So I decide, okay, that's it alone. I can't do nothing. For example, what happened? That's an example. I have a video camera. Okay, so if they start to beat in my room or I switch on the video camera to record the sound, they stop to beating. So they have something. They literally understand immediately when a microphone is on. Of course, I realize that. I mean, you need to have a specialist if you really want to defend yourself against these people. And I decided that alone you can do absolutely nothing. And so a few weeks ago, I decided to start looking for people. I'm quite happy now. At least I can have someone to talk with, someone that have the same problem with me. Uh, for example, this month I stay at home. I didn't even go back to my family. I have to study, and I can't. I mean, I'm sitting on my desk, and I'm feeling like a electricity inside my body, like a like that. I feeling biting my teeth. My nerves is like 100. It's like if I feeling electricity go around my body. I don't know if this is microwave or is something else. I have no idea, but it's really uncomfortable, and I can't even think to concentrate. I can't concentrate. It's about 3 weeks. I'm closing my room. Basically, I'm not talking with anybody. I don't have any friends. and and I'm just lucky to have meet this group. At least I can talk to someone that can understand me. Um, and well, the situation is really bad. Of course, I understood that these people they forced me to kill myself. That's probably what they want. And I try to contact other people to see if we together can do something about that. And and here I am now to talk with you basically. Um, I've been a I've been a bullying on the school. I finished my PGC and I'm trying to find out to work as a teacher. And even on last placement I've been, there was some kids on the class where I was teaching that there's been extorted to repeat my name now 500 times in half an hour. And that someone is follow me everywhere I'm going, everywhere I'm going. It's unbelievable. And so if I get a placement, they go, they probably speak with my tutors, with the kids on the class, and they convince them to do some act against me. In another placement, another mentor, it was unbelievable, out of the mind. I was actually thinking that they probably drugs this man because he was so mad when he was talking to me that I was shocking the way he was talking to me and what this mind has on his brain. I have no idea what the hell they said to him. I going out with such a group meeting internet, so of course I wrote my name, so they know that Friday evening I go into that pub. I'm 100% sure in that pub that we make like a street theater, or they will even poison my beer if I drink a beer. I need to be careful if they come who come to me. They start to laugh at me, joke me, feeling very uncomfortable, humiliate in front of everybody. It's one of the most techniques they use. When I was in university, it was awful. I mean, there was been it was every day for 3 years, actually 5 years, because of course with all this technique, I lost exams, I lost years. It took me 5 years to finish university instead of three. PGC took me 4 years instead of 2 years because of all this problem I found. Last summer, I literally bought everything for me for kill myself. And I really thought, think about that's it, had enough. And then I thought, okay, I got through about that, and I thought, okay, it's always worth it to fighting before. Doesn't no, it's always worth it to fighting. So it's always worth it to do something else. No, in the keep kill myself as really the last chance. But just the idea that the mental state that I am because of this harassment that
Yeah.
come out from the 15 years is shocking. And I realized that who's doing that is probably what they want. They, this is probably kind of mafia technique to kill somebody. Um, so the fact that I'm shaking now, I do probably think I'm shaking, I'm vibrating. I probably is probably, for example, I'm not feeling when someone else is in my room. I'm not feeling this vibrating. This vibrating I feel only when I'm in my room. So this is something that is happening in my room, and it probably some kind of or is microwave or is some kind of energy weapon or something like that. I feel in my muscle literally. It's like my muscle is moving for itself.
Yeah, muscle twitching is a very common complaint. So it's very typical. Luca, I wanted to ask you, and then I was going to ask Sylvia a little bit to explain. Actually, she has been witnessing all this, and I believe that it's been very, I mean, difficult for her as well as a friend to support me and basically to see how much my life has changed totally since this started. But Luca, I wanted to ask you, why did you arrive in the UK? Was it for your studies or
Well,
to
no,
study
of
there?
course. No, no, I was the idea to come to UK was because I was already stalking in Italy. That's one of the reasons why I decided. I thought that change country will probably help me. One of the reasons it was because I was stalking. Of course, I wanted to learn English, and I found actually my life better in England than in Italy. So I quite like to be I quite like England as it is, and for myself I was able to do a lot of things as well. But at the same time I wasn't able to finish university in Italy, so I lost years for nothing now. Um, so yeah, there is a many factor why one of the reason why I came here was because I've tried to I needed to find. I thought that if I was able to prove what they was doing to me and how being injured in my body, I was able to attack them by going to the police. The problem is I am not able to do that. I'm not able. Even if you go to doctor, you explain that people has been poisoned and problem, and the doctor, they send psychiatrist, and it's even worse. You get even, but then everything you say, they will never ever trust you. They will always think about you are mad, and you need it. No, that's what the system. So you realize that you really are alone. The doctor doesn't, but you actually they become your enemy in some way
Yeah,
because I realized
exactly.
that someone, of course, I definitely realized that someone was actually talking with one of the doctor. So the doctor was actually prepared to what he was saying when I went to talk to him. So I literally realized that because the way he was talking to me, I realized that he knows something about my life that I didn't talk to him. So I realized, okay, this is terrible. This is someone that outside in normal life is destroy my life. Then he go to my doctor and it's I don't know what he said about me with my doctor. Maybe convinced that I am mad or whatever. He definitely was someone or a group of people that were trying to destroy me psychologically and physically as well. But definitely they start with psychologically, and they try to connect. They try to use the doctor as well.
Yes.
I stopped, of course, to go to doctor. But even 12 years later, and I changed, I don't know how many doors, I changed more than 12 houses and a lot of, every time I change doctor and still any doctor say, no, because they wrote down, I don't know what they read on the computer, it's all connected now. And they still have the same problem in doctor. They looks like the most important thing is for me take drugs and take this medicine that because I don't know what they wrote inside. I mean, I remember one of the doctor when I said I've been followed every day, and I will start to explain. He was writing on his computer this he has a problem of schizophrenic and blah blah blah. So since then, any doctor he probably read what this first doctor wrote,
Yeah, they are in
and
contact
no,
also.
Yeah,
for
they have
any
I
a
have the
doctor,
profile,
same
of course. They have a
problem.
medical file.
you think I'm a schizophrenic, you think I'm just talking a silly thing, and no, and so
Well, those are the
that's
lies that they try to tell us, of course. I mean, it reminds me very much,
And
Luca,
be,
when I
mm,
went to a neurologist back in the US, in a different state where my brother was at the time. I had been staying with them, and I went to this neurologist, had an appointment with him. I'd never seen him before. And the first thing, first of all, he delayed the meeting by the appointment by like half an hour or something. So I already got and yet I was supposed to be the first one in the first appointment of the day. So I already got a sort of a bad feeling that maybe he was going to be prepped as to what to say or whatever. And sure enough, when I started telling him at that time my symptoms, I had really bad headaches, nausea, dizziness, pressure in the head, all sorts of things, and so that, I didn't mention anything about harassment, nothing, just the symptoms. And he started asking me about, well, let's see, you lived at various places now, and totally unrelated to my symptoms. And then he started saying, well, this must be quite depressing to you. It sounds like you're suffering from depression. And I hadn't even said anything like that. So he was he was spontaneously providing the very diagnosis without any basis whatsoever of my symptomology, to create falsely a mental disorder diagnosis, which was totally without basis. So it's very clear this was, I mean, that took me by surprise so much. I didn't know what to say except for, no, I'm not depressed. I'm just trying to get, better in terms of my headaches and nausea and all this. So he was totally unhelpful, and in fact, worse than that, as you said, Luca, it's really psychological warfare against us as well as physiological warfare.
Yes, yes, definitely it is. Yeah, yeah. I
Exactly, is the same what happens to me, and I didn't understand. I think 2 3 years what they have writing in my files. So I go to the new doctor after new doctor, and like you said, Dirk, I didn't told. In the beginning, I tried to tell. I thought I was poison of something, but you know, nothing about Morgellons or mind control or that. And then I go for my headache and the strong headache, and I have 3 cysts in my breast. I took every year in 3 years, and a lot of these problems, and after, oh, I have echo. Uh, and I try to tell them because when I begin to understand, they think I have some crazy or what you said. They try. You must accept that you are depressed, and I told them I'm not depressed. I was not depressed. Now I'm depressed because I have lost everything. But uh, no, I'm not depressed. But I should be depressed, what they call. And now, the 1 2 year ago, I found out what they have written in the first files about 6 years ago, 6 years back, and there they have writing a disease called that you have imagined about how you're looking. It was crazy. That was in the dermatologic hospital.
yeah.
It's crazy. So
Yeah,
I know
so
what
Yeah, it seems that
about.
whatever you say, all they ever have for you is that you're either delusional or depressed or suffer from a mental disorder. So, I
But
mean,
not now.
as I
But
said, I
not.
even got this laboratory reports back with this material that came out of my skin that Sylvie basically also saw, you know. She's even testified in my court case that she saw this material coming out of my skin with her own eyes. And even though there was material to be analyzed under a microscope, his conclusion was that, okay, this material that has never been seen before, that comes from my skin and it can't be identified, but that means that the patient is delusional and should be referred to psychological help. You know, totally
yeah,
illogical.
right, exactly. Illogical,
Just mad.
irrational. Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that obviously if the tables were turned, any one of these doctors, actually any human being whatsoever subjected to what we have been and still are subjected to would be depressed. That's normal. Only a robot, some entity totally lacking any emotions whatsoever would not feel stress, would not feel anxiety, would not feel some level of depression after years of torture, physiologically and psychologically. So this notion that, oh, we're delusional or something absurd like that, when in fact you even have concrete evidence which they'll just totally lie about. It's really a totally monstrous situation, and unfortunately, it's compounded by the fact that, for instance, human rights organizations have the same reaction, which I can't help but feel that they know what's going on, but they feel that, well, they're pressured against helping us, I guess.
Huh. Incredible. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's like in this custody thing that you know, I was a good mother, everything was fine, but unfortunately, I think that I have something in my body that could be a nanotechnology. Although several doctors and also witnesses testified that I had all the symptoms of Morgellons disease, and there was unidentifiable material coming out of my skin. But she concluded that I'm paranoid if I think that this could be a link to nanotechnology. I mean, you know, there seems to be only one diagnosis possible.
Yeah, from my experience, if at the beginning it was only, well, I thought it was only following, but actually I have some really bad experience that not only the electric shock, but for example, a few times it took me just 4 hours only to stand up from the bed. I have no idea what happened in the night. I literally take 4 hours to stand up from the bed. I was totally drunk, but like if I don't know, more than drunk.
Yeah, me too. Exactly.
You didn't drink alcohol, let's say.
No, absolutely no, of course not. Otherwise, I would not drink alcohol. No, it's something else. You know, you don't know what they did to me. I don't know if they make me sleep in the night. So I have some strange. Before I realized that I need to lock myself. So before I realized that I have to lock myself in the night, I realized that people were coming when I was sleeping in my room, and before I realized that something happened in the night, and probably there they make me sleep, and of course I have this noise in my hair, this tinnitus. I don't know what is it about. Doctor said that is I heard the blood, I heard the blood in my hair. I hope it's that, but I'm not convinced, by honest, that this is my blood. I think it's something else.
Okay, there's Thomas. Let me look for you. Here you are. Hello, Thomas.
Hi, Thomas. Thanks for joining.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
Yeah, hello.
You speak,
hi, Thomas.
Okay, where are you from? Nice to meet you.
That's the best. That's the best a poor boy from Texas can do. Okay.
Okay. No, that's very good. Just for the others, so you know, Thomas and I met some time ago on one of Can Tostado's radio shows, and so Thomas, just for you to know, most of the people here are victims of electronic terrorism, so that are implanted with microchips against informed consent, and except for Sylvie here, who is basically a friend of mine, but supporting us. And Hans, who's our host, who's streaming all this. So and I and Marie from Sweden have Morgellons. So nice that you joined. And can you maybe quickly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Well, my name is Thomas. I have lived my entire life in Texas, over here in the United States. I'm 6 feet 7 inches tall, and I try very hard not to be noticed. All I can say for myself is that I have tried very hard in this life to be a simple man and live like everyone else does, and it seems that that time is over. And so about 4.5 years ago, I was ready to go. I was done. And I let it be known that I was done. And then I said the word but if anybody wants me to stick around for any number of reasons, you have to give me a reason to wake up every day. And about 2 months later, that's when I saw a Sasquatch female, or what's called Bigfoot, or over there in Europe, the Almasti, just 50 feet away from me in person. And I've seen them 9 times during the daylight now and continue to have experiences with them. So I'm still here.
Good that you're here. You're very welcome. Nice to meet you, by the way, because I think it's the first time we are talking.
It's good to meet you.
Yep.
We have our suspicions, but it's impossible to get to them because they are powerful. They seem to have power over the doctors, over schools, over the public, over the media, groups in society. Some stalkers in the United States are believed to be those neighborhood watches they give them the target. They say this is a criminal, and they go after it. They have no idea, and some of them they will just destroy things, break things in the home. They come in, destroy the whole thing. The door is still locked, and it's crazy. It's insane because they are, the police comes and. Yeah, but maybe you did it yourself, because the door is not forced, nothing. So there are many stories like that. But stalking is still denied, even among TIs, because not all TIs are stalked. And it's actually a big problem.
You say TI,
and you have both this.
Sorry, you say TI, that the people understand the technical language. What is TI? I know it, but
TI is a targeted individual.
okay.
We have different names for ourselves, but this is like somebody invented it because
TI.
we are targeted.
Yes.
We are targets, and we know ourselves. We have this name now, targeted individuals, but Isaac tries to change the name, and they call us victims of torture or of terrorism even, because they terrorize us constantly.
Maybe TI will change soon to VT, like victims tortured or victims of terrorism.
We are everything. Every human right that you can think of is we don't have those anymore.
Exactly.
They are gone. They are.
We call it victims of electronic terrorism, in fact, now, because this is terrorism. There's nothing else. So to implant this technology in the person's body without informed consent, and then to torture him or her 24 hours round the clock with it. This is terrorism. There's nothing.
Yeah, 24 hours. They have. This is like a company, They have also for sure some day shift, night shift. So some people of our enemies go home to sleep, and they're coming other torturers, to continue the work, What a work.
Definitely.
They work at shift.
Very often I notice that maybe at 10 o'clock exactly they start to beating, or 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock they finish, or maybe they're always very, very often. So the people probably start to work in 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and from there to when they finish, usually it's half past or 11 or half past. It's always, most of the time it's always exactly when the hour finish. So you understand that these people start to work and then finish the work. It's definitely someone paid for hour to do this work.
Yes, of course.
Yes, and I also think that there is an element of computerization too with this, because, for instance, I am awakened every hour, or at most every 2 hours at night, and it's exactly every hour or every 2 hours. And then if I try to sleep, such as it is with all the forced dreaming, which is extremely light, it's like daydreaming, and so that's why I'm so exhausted. Then in fact then it's every half hour, and then it becomes every 20 minutes, then every 10 minutes. I mean, it's really it's so precise. It seems to be semi-computerized as well.
Yeah, programmed computer systems are used because something happen immediately in an instant, and no person can react so quickly. And everything is programmed. They use computer systems and artificial intelligence as well.
Catherine is a very brave woman. She's the secretary of the Morgellons research group.
Wow.
And she also has Morgellons, and she's very brave, and she's fighting the good fight, I think. So, I've been in contact with her since last year, when I contacted her first because I wanted some research information for Morgellons. And since then, she's been a great friend, and so, Catherine, I think there's some people you don't know yet. Sylvie, you know, then there's Luca, he's a Italian who lives in England. There's Thomas, who's American, he's from Texas. We have Dirk, who's also American, but he lives here in Belgium. And Carmen, you know, Marie, you know, and Hans, you obviously know. So can you introduce yourself a little bit, Catherine, and tell people a little bit about you?
Oh, yes, I'm Catherine Augustine. I live in Michigan, United States. I've had Morgellons for 21 years now. And I keep seeing this thing change form. And I know that's one thing Dr. Will Spencer says, that the microorganism seems to be changing form. So we have that to deal with. Okay, so in our group, we are trying to narrow some of this down. In fact, we were going to have a meeting today, and we found more things. A lot of Chico rain report I put on the website where fungus, and there were 6 kinds of fungus falling from this rain. It was called brown rain, and so we did send that to ProLabs, and we got results back. There were 6 fungus and 1 yeast. And this was found in rain, which is very, very unusual. So we're thinking this can only be chemtrail related. So we are finding the links. They did have the Consciousness Beyond Chemtrails conference this past weekend. And they had a lot of talk on the chemtrails and what's in them, what materials and that sort of thing. And very little was talked about Morgellons, because I think some of them are... they can't quite cross that barrier where the inorganic and the organic meet, and then it moves on to the nanotechnology, and that's where the basic electromagnetic forces are used, and I believe light sources of radio frequencies are used, and that's where we get a lot of the zapping. I've had a lot of that going on in my head, and I know what Melanie talks about that. It's like your head feels like it's being squeezed, and then it only lasts for short seconds, and then it'll stop. But for some, it keeps going, and it really messes up your thought processes, and that's the part that's really hard to distinguish. What is it organic? Is it inorganic? Or is it this new nano brain? I just read something on something called the Blue Brain Project. And I've been checking that out. It's very strange. I hadn't heard that one before, but it's involved with the transformist people, you know, and that we can be transformed type thing. And it's like, really? You know, but we can also be controlled. That's the hard issue.
May I put a concept across, and I leave it in the concept phase. It's more than a concept to me because I've had the experience of it, but I will speak of it as a concept here, if I may do that. Is there any objections?
No objection.
Okay.
No, go ahead, Thomas.
I've found the simpler you keep things, the easier it is to understand, and if people understand it, then they can know it, and any revelations they have at that point are theirs to have, not mine to give or anyone's to give. Starting with the basics, the body itself. My concept is that we are not the body that we're in. We are beings of light, or souls, and we are in the skin suits to experience physical life. That being said, I'll even get more basic than that and say that even science calls the human body a biomechanical machine. So knowing that it's a machine because science says so, or because science gives us evidence that it is a biomechanical machine, it is programmable. So they take advantage of this, and they also take advantage of the fact that you think you're human and you have a soul, when the reality is you're a soul and you have a human skin suit. Now, in my own experience, what I have experienced through the Sasquatch people and my own use of this body, when I have a mosquito bite, right after the mosquito bites me and that sting starts, I simply put my index finger where the sting was at, and I say the words out loud. I do not accept this discomfort in the body, and I invoke the healing and repairing qualities of this body to take this discomfort out of the body. And usually within about 3 minutes, the mosquito bite is completely gone. So how do I explain that? I don't try to, because I can't. I don't have the words to explain how that works. I just know that the skin suit I'm in is programmable. So I invoke certain things through my acceptance or unacceptance of it. I don't accept those things that they give me or do to me. Same thing with foods that I eat, waters that I drink, liquids that I drink. Anything that they have done to it, I don't accept those things. I only accept those things that come from creation, the way creation made that liquid. So anything they put in water, tap water, anything, I don't accept that unless it's to benefit the body that I live in. And I've had quite a few very good experiences with that, and it was the Sasquatch people that got me to realize that. And there was an elder amongst the Sasquatch that was the hard case I was up against, and he was harsh, not to be mean to me. He was harsh on me to get me to wake up and realize that I am not the skin suit that I am in. And it worked very well for me. So I invite everyone to start looking at the body you live in as a machine, a biomechanical machine, just what science calls it, and start through your own willpower, your own acceptance or unacceptance, program this body to not accept those things. I invoke the healing properties and repair qualities of this body to take this discomfort out. And there's been quite a few cases where that has been scientifically proven. Cliff Sanderson from New Zealand, he went to Chernobyl not long after Chernobyl happened, and through his willpower, through programming that he would say out loud, he would issue the words out loud, the death rate of children went from over 40 a week down to about 6 or 7 a week. And the Russian scientists and engineers were so confused by this that they took cooling water out of those reactors, and in 5 minutes, with his willpower, his intention, he changed it to where the radioactivity was still there, but it was not the kind of radioactivity that did any harm to the human life form whatsoever. So it's been scientifically proven in more examples than I can cite in this conversation, that your intention and your awareness really play a part in the programming of the skin suit that we live in. Now, that being said, I'm leaving that in the concept phase because I will not speak about it like it's fact. Although I have done that, I will not put it that it's fact. It's up to everyone listening to make this effort and have that experience for themselves so that they can know. Because there is no belief. I don't use that word, and I don't expect anybody to use that word. Just leave it in the concept phase and try it for yourself and see how it works. And I'm going to shut up now. I've put my concept out there, so please, whoever would like to speak now.
Well, I believe completely in what you are saying, and I know that it's true. It's completely something that you have to experience. It's nothing that you can tell anyone that it is so or so or so. We can change our body, we can improve our health just by using the power of our own mind. And it's not so much about trying, but about being. And we have more power than we think that we are, and there are many scientific reports even in the scientific community, but they are all marginalized. There is a lot of evidence that DNA is not that important. DNA doesn't program us or predetermine our lives or our diseases or criminality or whatever neuroscientists today say, that we are pre-programmed by nature and by DNA to become sick or criminal or, or anything else. And it's not really true. We can, by using our willpower, our thoughts, change
the rest.
This is one of the things that the Sasquatch people I deal with or interact with have taught me. And so, as a result of that, one thing that I've done is I invite life in. And I have so many life forms around me right now. I have wolves in my house. I have a stray cat that lives underneath the ramp next to my house, and I go out and feed it once in a while and say hello to it. I have bald eagles that fly over my house almost on a daily basis. I go out back and wave at them and say good morning to them in the morning. I have condors or buzzards, whatever you'd like to call them, that fly over at least once a week. I have all sorts of birds that come around. I have squirrels that come down the tree, and I give food to them sometimes. And at nighttime, I have rats that come out of the trees that are as big as the squirrels, and they're my friends as well. So one of the things that I put out there with my intention was that life is welcome here. And I have so many different forms of life around me right now, just living in a small town, trying to live the fat, dumb, and happy life. It's not even funny. I can't make this kind of stuff up. I just want to say, in case people are not aware of it, you could look up on the internet, but the president of the country of Bolivia has given McDonald's and Coca-Cola till November of this year to be completely out of the country. He's kicking them out.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. One more thing before I go.
Okay.
I thank you for inviting me into this conversation. I hope to come back again.
Yep.
But another concept I would like to iterate to everyone is that when you're buying new clothes or you're buying a new car, think about all the angles you look at that car from. You look at both sides, front and the back, you open the trunk, you open the hood, you sit down in the front seat, you crank the engine up, you turn the stereo on to see if it works, all those different things. And what's puzzling to me and causes a little distortion with me is when people hear one concept or one idea and they accept that as the truth and the right way to do something, and it's all about looking at it different angles and seeing if it's really valid from all those different angles. So that's just what I want to put out there to everyone.
Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much, and I don't know, anyone has want to say something more?
Just thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. So see you later.
Goodbye.
And until next time. Good night.
Okay. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye bye.